Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video, but I've got a special guest today. NubRaid. Who are you, my friend?
Hey, thanks so much for having me on the channel. I'm
no worries.
NubKex. My raid channel is called NubRaids. So I've been doing the channel for, I guess, a couple of months, maybe almost 3 months now. I kind of got into it doing Hydra stuff, and the Hydra videos started doing really well. So yeah,
Yeah, well, you know what?
at it.
I kind of saw you popping up on my YouTube kind of searchable list, and I was like, who's this new fella? And I must admit, watching your videos, like, guys, watch out. This is going to be the #1 creator of the year. Absolutely awesome stuff on Hydra. And yeah, honestly, man, really, really great start to your channel.
Thank you.
But I know this is not the first time you've been a creator, so kind of talk us through what you've done in the past.
Yeah, so I started on YouTube, I can't even remember now, a good few years ago. I started doing, like, kind of wannabe PewDiePie stuff, terribly bad sort of pseudo-comic video game playthroughs. And then I started covering Heroes of the Storm because I was playing World of Warcraft at the time. And in the guild I was playing with, they were playing Heroes of the Storm. I said, I'll check that out. That's like League of Legends, right? And I kind of got into that, and I started making videos on that. And I was a Heroes of the Storm channel then for, I guess, 2 or 3 years until, unfortunately, Blizzard...
Till they axed it.
Yeah, they axed it. They pulled the plug.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that kind of been floating around for a bit. The way I got into Raid was one of the games I covered for a while was World of Warcraft. I got into that big time.
Cool, yeah.
During the Shadowlands beta, I was actually not due to being a content creator, because again, pretty much all my contacts were in the European office of Blizzard, which also got axed.
Oh no!
yeah.
Well, maybe you shouldn't be covering Raid, because this looks like bad karma here.
This is it. Well, I mean, if you look at the world right now, I was covering Shadowlands. I got into the beta, and I was doing, like, class previews and spec previews for all the stuff going into Shadowlands. And I got contacted by an advertising agency or whatever. Will you do sponsorship for this game, Raid Shadow Legends?
Right.
I've never heard of that game. But I actually quite like mobile games. Like, I play a lot of Pokemon Go with my girlfriend and all that sort of stuff. I like TFT a lot on the phone as well. I was like, oh yeah, I'll give it a go. I'll try it out, and ended up really, really liking the game. And I've been playing it for, I guess, about 1.5 years. And
cool.
Yeah. There you
go.
That's it. Why not make a channel?
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, look, today we're going to talk about 2 different elements of the game. We're going to talk about champions that we want to see if we do an account takeover for someone else. So I'm going to try and hone in on Clan Boss, which is the content which I love the most. And then, Nub, you're going to go for Hydra, right?
Yeah, I'm going for the other Clan Boss. The Clan Boss's scary brother, the Hydra.
Which is as we had a chat before, it's content you actually really enjoy. So it's, yeah.
I actually like a lot of the content people don't like. I actually like 3v3. I like Hydra. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I like it. So, yeah.
How far are you pushing on Hydra, just out of interest here? Are you up to Nightmare, or?
No. So on my current clan, we're on Brutal at the moment, but I think people don't have great teams for this rotation. So some players are still doing hard and normal. So because we're killing hard and normal and you get the double chests, at the moment, I've been mostly focusing on that. And it's also where I imagine 99.5% of players are. Yeah. I'd say probably even most players are still on normal, a good few probably on hard, but very few getting onto Nightmare. So I also don't have the best champs in the game for it. Like, I don't have a Duchess or a Krisk, which would make it much easier to get into Nightmare. And that's part of the fun, though, as well. Is like, okay, if I don't have the best champs, then what champs do I use instead? And that can be a really fun puzzle to put the kit together.
Honestly, I hope there was a bit more of that going on. It doesn't feel like there's been a huge amount of that exploratory stuff going on yet. But I mean, looking at this, my clan, 7 people in my clan have hit Hydra. I know we've got 22 hours. It's pretty shocking, really, that it feels like there's quite a low uptake on it at the moment. But hopefully, if they make some tweaks and it feels a bit less RNG, hopefully in the future they'll try and sort that out. Because it does feel like it's content waiting to be good. In my opinion, it's just not quite good. That's my view of it. But anyway, you like it, so that's cool. That's cool. Each to their own. Okay, so let's start with my side then. So Clan Boss champions that I like to see. If I jump into someone's account, which I do regularly, I do it a lot. Most streams we do some sort of takeover of some sort, and often if someone's redeeming a takeover, it tends to be around, the old school clan boss. So, and we was having a little talk about this before, because I was thinking, there's some champions that I just like to see, but also sometimes if a champion is not complemented by someone else, actually it almost kind of writes them off. And this is going to be the first one. So this might be the obvious one, but one champion I love to see is Maneater. And not because I'm lazy. It's because it guarantees us significant damage with fairly low investment. That's why Maneater is so insane. But we have to see someone else alongside him. We have to see either a Painkeeper, kind of worst case scenario, or a second Maneater, or one of the other kind of unkillable champs.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the nice things in terms of looking for a combo is that, I mean, it's difficult to get a Maneater, but at least if you got a Painkeeper, which is only a Void Rare, that's quite achievable. That opens you up to Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss, which is completely crazy. To actually get there with a regular team, you're really looking at having a bunch of legendary champions or a ton of really good epics, really good gear. You need multiple champions. You need to get lucky with your void pulls, but if you do get lucky, suddenly it gives you by far the easiest access into it.
And really, like, the other cool thing about a Maneater combo is the rest of the champions don't even necessarily need to be level 60. They don't necessarily need to be fully mastered. So I did a takeover just a couple of days ago, and we did a budget unkillable, which is what this tends to be called, with everybody had no masteries except one champion. And it is a champion we're going to talk about in a minute, but we 2-keyed Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss.
It's not bad.
It's pretty crazy. If you, like you say, if you were trying to do that with what I would class as big boy legendary champions, that's hard to do. It's pretty tough to do. So, I mean, Maneater for me is kind of
I've tried to use him a bit in Hydra, actually.
Have you?
Because he does bring you AoE block debuffs, which is a very rare skill to get. I mean, if you did the fusions last year with Rogni and Tatura, you get block debuffs for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. But if you don't have those champions, that's a rare skill. And then his A1, which is terrible for the Demon Lord, is actually pretty great for Hydra, where he puts an AoE decreased attack on all enemies if he crits with his A1. So that can go through the poison cloud. It goes on to mischief, all that sort of stuff. So he doesn't need to be manual because the cooldown on Ancient Blood is really long. And
that's it.
But
and I guess with this current rotation, you actually could build an unkillable team. In fact, I kind of had a pop at one. I found it difficult to get damage away because of you almost need probably 3 people that are doing the unkillable buff to make it really an unkillable team. But
I'm not brave enough to try that, man. That's just gonna be the scariest thing, to be sitting there against the Hydra.
I did it on stream. Someone said to me, I've got one. So it was like, brilliant, let's play this on stream. And it was very stressful doing it live on stream, trying to make sure that we didn't lose the unkillable buffs.
Because I mean, with the Demon Lord, I mean, you get another key in 6 hours. With Hydra, you've missed your Materala fragments.
You've wiped.
Scary. You're gone. Brave man.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. So this one is a legendary champion, and it's actually a name you've mentioned already. I love to see Rogni. So people that got this fusion, I think, have just got an absolute leg up on pretty much any content, honestly, but for Clan Boss, especially good. He's got the ability that we want to see to block stuns, to block those debuffs coming in, so that he can be usable for all affinities. And this is one of the things, it's quite easy to build a void affinity Clan Boss team, but something that covers all affinities is way more difficult. And this guy on a 3-turn on this ability is so good. Plus, obviously, he's the only champion in the game that allows you to extend shields. And if you build one that hits hard, I mean, he's in my Clan Boss team right now, and I mean, he's really a bonkers champion.
He does way more damage than you think he should with the shielding and reflecting the damage. It really does add up.
And then obviously you throw a bit of Giant Slayer on him, and once people have got shields, he actually ends up being your protector, your debuff blocker, and probably your highest damage dealer. Like, he's got it all.
He does.
Yeah.
The fusion to get him was awful, but I'm really glad I did it, because he went pretty much straight into almost every single team and every bit of content, just about. Completely crazy champion. Will I jump in with a couple of champions now for
go for it,
for Hydra?
Mix
them in. I imagine we're going to have a couple that might overlap, but then a couple that won't. So the first one I would choose, which I imagine probably won't show up in your list, would actually be Ugo in the Ugrin tribes. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, Ugo is unbelievably good as an epic champion.
Yeah, I
I
do
know
have
that.
her.
I know that Ash absolutely loves her as well. I think she might be his favorite or one of his favorite epics too. But she's just incredible. She has incredible base stats. She's got a ton of base HP. She's got good speed, good defense. But she brings on a 3-turn cooldown an AoE attack that gives you decreased defense and block buffs for 2 turns. So that is just incredibly useful. She also brings Leech on her A1, which helps you stay alive. Then her A3 actually does a pretty substantial heal, 20% of her max HP, and she starts with about 20,000 base HP, so easy to build it high.
Yeah.
It also cleanses a random debuff. So she's just amazing for Hydra, right? And a Hydra, you're often looking for champions that do a lot of things because there's so many bases you need to cover for the Hydra boss. You need champions that cover multiple ones of them. And Ugo comes in, she's like, I've got your decreased defense, which is your most important offensive debuff covered. Block buffs, that's going to handle Poison Cloud. It's going to handle Head of Mischief. She's going to be really helping your team stay alive with the heals. She can potentially cleanse off the True Fears from Head of Torment. Yeah, she's just incredibly versatile.
Do you find so? I think one of the rotations where the heads can I can't remember all the names of the heads, but the head that cleanses all of the debuffs.
A decay, yeah.
The worst so head. I find that the worst head. Yeah, I literally I think he removes your ability to control the fight.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I did find that I was definitely looking for blocked buffs as almost like my number one skill.
Yeah.
If the Head of Decay was not around.
And block buffs, it's a rare skill to get. There's not many champions that can do it. I think the other really good one is Umbral Enchantress does it really well, well too, as a Void Epic. And that's a 3-turn block buffs. So that's a really good thing to bring as well. But Ugo, compared to Umbral, she has some affinity issues, but she brings you the decreased defense and tons of survivability for your team too. So Ugo's pretty much the number one to look for.
And were you using Ugo outside of Hydra already in a bunch of content?
Yeah, I had her leveled up mostly for Ogre and Tribe Faction Wars, and there's the Ogre and Tribe Secret Room, which I actually still haven't beaten yet.
Are we not?
No, but I had her powered up for that. And then Hydra came out, and I was like, oh, hang on a second. Okay, no, she's amazing for this. I guess she could be pretty good for Arena, especially earlier in the game. You know, getting block buffs out on top of decreased defense and an AoE move is really nice. She'd be decent for some Doom Tower stuff too. But yeah, she's just excels in Hydra. I wouldn't be shocked if they do like one of those, 30 or 40 ancient shards guaranteed for Ugo at some point.
Ugo.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I remember when she first came out, I pumped her up as one of the highest champions on my tier list for epics.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the only thing which let her down or does let her down is her AI with this revive heal ability can just be a bit weird.
I'm gonna be honest.
Want the revive, but she tries to heal when there's nothing to heal, and it's just kind of like, what do you think you're doing right now?
Yeah, I just use her for the heal. Like in Hydra, the heal is super valuable because there's so much damage coming in. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I've ever, not even once, successfully revived people with that Ugo's breathing.
Yeah, it's just so like because you feel like the passive plus that revive together sounds on paper so good. It's like wow. Yeah. It's almost like perfect, but then she does that heal when someone needs like a little top up, and you're like, oh, there goes my arena plan.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm sure there's someone that has like saved their Hydra run with rezzing everyone.
I'm sure they have. Yeah,
happens in Arena or Faction Wars, but I've never seen it happen. So yeah.
But no, cool champion. Well, give us your next one. Who's the next one on your list?
Okay, so the next one, I actually it was funny because I have 2 champions starting with G, and when I said it to you, I've got a champion start with G. You guessed the other one, but this one might show up in your list too. I'm not sure, but it's Godseeker Aniri.
Yes, she's actually in my clan boss team right now.
Ah, there you go. So yeah, incredible champion. The thing that she does so well is something that I think is very easy to underestimate the value of it, because you look at Godseeker and you're like, okay, she's got this cool passive, the res, I should say, brings everyone back with the cooldowns and their skills all back. That's amazing, and it is great for high, especially comboed with some of the squishier damage dealers. I'll mention a couple as well. She's got the cool passive with Revive on Death, but actually one of the most valuable things she does is her A2, which is extending your buffs by 1 turn. It sounds like it's a small thing, but when you're going up against, these Hydra heads, especially like the Head of Blight, for example, putting out crazy amounts of poison debuffs that can really wear your team down very quickly, you take something like Brogni with the block debuffs for 2 turns and you extend that to 3 turns, you get full coverage. Or you get increased speed, full coverage, strength, and full coverage. All of these really cool buffs. You put her in with those really good champions like Lydia and Brogni and so on. And it just, it makes those buffs It almost like if you take a 2-turn buff and make it 3 turns, it's like 50% more value on that buff. It's crazy. So
Yeah, and so I
yeah,
use her in the same way actually in Clan Boss. But
yeah,
one question for you here, because I don't need
mhm,
this in Clan Boss.
yeah.
Do you build her with accuracy to
Um,
also have the chance to strip a level of buffs from the Hydra heads?
so I build her with a small bit, but it's one of those things where you've got the it's like you got a little budget for building your champion with
Yeah, you
what
got
you can
so many
do to
stats you
gear.
can have. It's like, well,
So many.
where do you go?
I know, and she can use all of them except for attack. Literally everything else is amazing on her. So
Yeah,
my Godseeker, she's got about 230 accuracy right now. So
okay.
it works on the lower levels of Hydra, and it's going to work against some of the Hydra heads that have lower resistance. But I just wasn't able to afford to build it up too high. Unfortunately, I rely more on block buffs and trying to use that. But it's a
Yeah.
nice perk when she does sometimes strip off some of those buffs. It can be nice, yeah.
And I guess
But
she's quite nice when you pair her because, like you say, you need a lot of healing. You just
yeah,
generally take a lot of damage consistently. So the
yes,
fact that she helps other people heal as well, yeah, actually really cool champion. I'd say this is one of the most underrated skills in the game. This
yeah,
ability to extend buffs. There's not that many champions that do it. Maybe like 8 or 9 or something.
yeah. Very
Um,
few.
and most of them are not. They don't have a great kit alongside it. Whereas Godseeker is actually a really, really good champion. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to take the
Okay.
next?
Why don't I take the other G?
Do.
Because I'm sure this would have featured on your Hydra list as well.
Yeah, he is
And
there.
if you were doing a takeover for any content in the game list,
Yeah.
pretty much. So Geomancer, even after his shadow nerf, which wasn't a nerf, um, he's just a bonkers champion for me. He's
Mhm.
exactly the kind of level of interesting that I want to see in new champions that come into the game with cool passives that do have a little bit of complication to make them work, but once you get them going, can be insane. This guy just kicks out insane damage because of his passive. As soon as he's got his own burn up, and it has to be his own burn, and you can't spread his burn to someone on it, someone else doesn't work. But once he puts his own burn out there, he starts reflecting damage like a madman. You can see it in his eyes, actually.
Yeah. He's seen some things.
Yeah, he's still seeing it.
Yeah.
But he's actually, I mean, for Clan Boss, that's his main thing. He's bringing you HP burn and weaken, and there's actually quite a lot of champions that can just bring decreased defense and
Yeah.
kind of plug the gap of what you're looking for to increase your damage. But whether it's an
Mhm.
unkillable team, whether it's a standard team, Geo can find his way into kind of pretty much any Clan Boss setup. And he's also got this kind of nice ability. You have to build accuracy on him anyway. He's got
Mhm.
a nice ability here that he can remove the Clan Boss's increased attack buff if you use this on the second turn. So his A2 is actually pretty useful as well. But yeah, Geo for me, absolute monster of a champion and definitely one I look out for in a takeover.
Yeah. I actually think that my most popular Hydra video was on Geomancer and Hydra. And
Right.
believe it or not, I actually didn't have a built Geomancer at all until Hydra Rotation 2 came out. And
Really?
I was just
Right.
doing
What, is
I
he
was
just
just,
sitting on your account?
yeah, he was just in my vaults. I'd never
Wow.
built him out. And I was
Unreal.
sitting there and I was going through epics that might work for Hydra. I was like, oh, okay, this guy's got the HP burn. Like, I'll give it a go. And I was like, he's probably just going to die, this level 50 Geomancer. And I think, gear rolled up to level 12. I said, I'll throw him in. I'll see how he does. And it was one of my best Hydra keys ever. I was watching this Hydra and going, like, what is going on? He's not dying. And there's
Yeah.
so much damage going out. This is insane.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
because
just, he's
actually I
just
didn't talk
crazy.
about his passive.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is particularly important for Hydra. I mean, it's important for anywhere, but just straight up reducing the damage your team take by
Yeah.
15% is just huge. Is
It's
absolutely
huge. Yeah.
huge. And I guess, does decreased accuracy really play a part for you in
Oh, yeah.
Hydra? Is that something
Oh,
that you focus on?
yeah, 100%. I think decrease actually is really good, like especially against the head of mischief, because the required resistance for Hydra is actually quite high. For some
Yeah.
reason, like the accuracy you need is actually really low, but the resistance is much higher. Like you need about 300 plus resistance, even from just normal Hydra, which is nuts. It's way too high in my opinion.
Yeah.
But you bring in decrease accuracy, and if you can get that on head of mischief and tremor staff is A1 is an AoE attack with it's a 40% chance to place it, but it's not bad, right?
Yeah, that's
It
it.
adds up
Yeah.
over time. You get multiple chances, and you get that on that head of mischief, and then suddenly that can add up to really big gains, right? Instead of stealing all your buffs and stealing a bunch of turn meter, it ends up going much slower, buying you much more time. And then, of course, decrease accuracy for the guy placing poisons or the one
Yeah.
placing provokes or heal reduction, all that stuff. If you don't have block debuffs on, it's actually really useful. So
And
Yeah,
I guess as well,
mm,
it's quite easy to build a Geo with high accuracy because you don't
yeah,
need damage stats. You basically
no.
just need to build him good accuracy. You need to build him to survive, but because of the way he does damage through his passive, he could literally have 0 damage stats and he's still kicking out huge damage. So yeah, I mean, I literally I don't build any crit rate into mine. I put him in stalwart gear. He's just
Mhm.
he's a tank. He's a tank that does insane damage.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd be curious if people are running him in the Demon Lord clan boss with like a Hydra specific build, which would be refresh accessories and like a reflex gear, even relentless gear sometimes. I wonder if people use that and can make that work in a normal Demon Lord. It's obviously going to be worse there, but yeah, just trying to get as many of those quicksand grasps out as possible. Like just that small chance even to reset it, get an extra one out adds up to a lot of extra damage, especially around that
yeah.
cleansing head.
So with your team, do you run? If you're running a Geo, are you running
Mm.
someone like a Renegade or a Kai'Ma or someone to get back to the A3 as quick as possible?
So I don't at the moment, but I actually did in a couple of runs. I actually ran my Painkeeper from my Bad Eater clan boss.
Oh yeah,
I
okay,
don't the lower difficulties because that Painkeeper is super squishy.
yeah,
And my Renegade's only level 50 as well, so they're both very squishy. They can't do the higher levels. They just die. But it does work pretty well, especially in rotation 2, which is where Head of Decay isn't one of the starting heads. In that one, you can get the burns out on everyone and it fully duplicates that reflected damage uniquely onto every single head. It doesn't split it. It just
yeah. It's madness,
duplicates it
isn't
fully. So
it?
yeah,
It's absolutely crazy.
they just blow themselves up all at the same time. It's quite something to see. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let me pick one more then that I look for, and this is again, it's someone that I've added now to my team, and someone that I was hunting for. So there wasn't many epics I didn't have,
Yeah.
but then I wanted to see the frog. Taragi the frog pop out. So again, if you're not running an unkillable team, probably the first ability that I now look for is ally protection. And
Mhm.
this guy just brings ally protection and a ton of other stuff. So it brings us an ally protection with a shield for himself. He brings us poisons when he's hit. So he kind of adds his own layer of damage. And he
Mhm.
also brings us decreased attack, which is another huge ability to have in your setup if you're trying to take on clan boss, so the regular clan boss. So this guy, for me, is like a man-made clan boss machine. And he gets into, I mean, we kind of called out a couple here. He gets into my team ahead of a ton of legendary champions that I own that basically are built to do the same type of tasks. So, yeah, I
Mm.
mean, Taragi for me, again, if we're not looking for unkillable, he's like one of the first on the team sheet.
Yeah. He also looks amazing. He's one of my favorite
Yeah, he's
looking
cool.
characters. He looks better than most legendaries. Like he's so badass.
Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah. And I remember when I first saw him, I was thinking, I'm not really sure about this guy. You know, when you just kind of glance at a kit and you're like, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he's got a bit of a provoke. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was totally wrong. He's awesome. Awesome champ.
I saw some YST videos and I was like, okay, Taragi the Frog's amazing. He's
Yeah.
a big fan of Taragi as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. Okay, right. Give us some more, a couple more Hydra ones.
Yeah, okay. So I probably went for the best ones first. Now I got two more that are really good as well. So the first one I want to talk about is a generally very useful champion that probably a lot of people will build out for just dungeons, even Doom Tower stuff. It's actually Stag Knight. I think Stag Knight's actually really, really nice for Hydra as well. Because he all of his abilities have some interesting uses. So I'll go to his A1 first, Spot Quarry. The interesting thing about this, it can place decreased speed. So a really fun tactic you can use at the start of your Hydra fight. It's one of the most frustrating parts about the rotation 3 and rotation 4, the one coming up this week. Might be
Yeah.
out by the time the video is live, I'm not sure. But where the Head of Decay cleanses all debuffs, and then the Head of Blight puts a Poison Cloud on everyone. And you're going, oh, this is so frustrating. What do I do? Well, because Stag Knight has that single target decrease speed, you decrease speed Head of Decay. And so long as Stag Knight is fast enough relative to Head of Decay, it will make Head of Decay miss enough of his turn that the Head of Blight will actually put the Poison Cloud out first, which you can then, it just gets absorbed by block buffs. It's just not there. Then Head of
Ah,
Decay
okay.
cleanses, and you're laughing. You're going, oh, great. Whereas without that happening, it can be just, you're ripping your hair out in frustration.
Yeah.
Like, it
You're
can be so
waiting so
annoying.
long to get into the fight, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
oh,
So
interesting. Yeah, that's quite a cool
so
tactic.
it's a quite a cool little thing that he can enable. I actually used Tomb Lord. It was the first the first legendary I ever pulled was Tomb Lord, and I
Sure.
actually use him, who does basically the same thing. And then his A2 Stag Knight, AOE decreased defense, decreased attack, 3-turn cooldown. So that's fantastic for just reducing the damage coming at you from the Hydra. It actually gives you some increased accuracy as well, which is also pretty useful because the accuracy requirements for Hydra are quite low, but the head of Suffering, the really big tanky head that doesn't do very much, he gives them plus 50 resistance, which is just kind of annoying. At least you get a bit of an increased accuracy buff from time to time to try to overcome it. If you have someone like we mentioned earlier, like Godseeker Aniri, who maybe has a bit of accuracy, but not enough to consistently do their stuff if it's not that important, it's a nice little bit extra that Stag Knight brings to help you get over it. So yeah, you're probably going to have him built for other content. So throw him into your Hydra team so he can be really, really good there too.
Definitely feels like decrease attack. I mean, definitely if the head of Wrath's around,
yeah,
it's just an incredibly important on an AoE, isn't it? There's actually there's not that many champions that do AoE drop attack where they're bringing a few other useful debuffs at the same time. Generally, that's kind of like all they've got. Yeah, no, I can totally see that.
Do you have one more, or will I go with my last one?
No, you go with your last one. You go with your last one.
I'll do my last one. So my last one is probably not really a surprise. This one's fairly obvious. If you're looking to do damage to the Hydra, it's Royal Guard. Pretty straightforward, really. He's A2, massive smack, AoE damage based off enemy max HP. So the Hydra heads, of course, they're clan boss. They have incredibly high max HP, and there's 4 of them. So the AoE is going to hit all 4. And it means you just built his crit damage really high. So he hits really hard. He doesn't actually need attack. It doesn't scale that much. So you can just crank his health up. You can up his defensive stats. And so long as he's got a bit of speed, he's got that crit rate and crit damage, he pumps out massive damage, and he's relatively easy to keep alive, comparable to other DPS champions. So yeah, I think he's great.
Would you build him with accuracy for his decreased speed ability and
you can
other bits as well?
You definitely can. I wouldn't prioritize it. Like it's something that you can bring in if you can afford to. But the main priority is just upping his damage, really. But yeah, he has the decreased defense on his A1, decreased speed on his A3. They're really useful too. So if you can get enough accuracy, and like I said, the accuracy requirements for Hydra are actually reasonably low.
So I do feel like decreased speeds. I saw actually one of your videos where you were talking about Taniks being a useful champion. And I feel like people underrate decreased speed in Hydra because that's actually a really good debuff to land. And when you talk about Taniks, I was like, surely not. Surely you can't be serious.
That's what I like so much about it. I was like, everyone thinks this champion is terrible. No one uses her anywhere. I was like, because I was looking through I was actually on your website. I was looking at the decreased speed debuff. I was like, who do I have that has decreased speed? I don't have many champions. I was like, Tanix is there. Okay. And I had her actually at 60 for faction war progress at some point. So I was like, okay, let's whip her out again, dust off the old vault. I threw her in. And I was like, you know what? She's actually performing really well. It's actually not bad at all. So yeah, I mean, she's a guaranteed champion. There you go. You got a decreased speed champ for Hydra that does some nice healing and actually an okay amount of damage. She's double hitting potentially with War Master and a couple of different targets. So yeah.
Well, yeah, because I was actually, when I first started hitting Hydra, I was using Syl for the same type of reason. I mean, Syl brings a lot. But she was bringing me a decreased speed, and she was bringing me a potential revive if I needed it, and obviously the passive healing. So I was kind of thinking Syl was good. And when I saw your video, I was like, actually, Taniks kind of does a bunch of that stuff.
Yeah.
Not as well, but she does do a bunch of that stuff.
Yeah, like my Syl's in stun gear, and she's got like fearsome presence for Doom Tower progress. So I actually found that for me, Tanix did better because I had Tanix specifically built for the Hydra with War Master and all that stuff. With Syl, I had to like go in and turn off her A2. I was like, it's just giving 2 stacks to Head of Wrath, and it's not triggering War Master and stuff. So, it's kind of fun to find these champions that people don't really use and go like, oh, here's something they do that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's cool. Well, look, I think we've probably run long enough. We've run half an hour. Hopefully, hopefully you guys have found some different ideas, or perhaps people that are in your vault that you didn't realize they're quite as useful as they are. NubRaid, thank you for coming on. Hopefully you've enjoyed your time.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's great. Thank you so much for having me. I remember when I first started playing Raid, over a year and a half ago, seeing your videos. So it's pretty awesome to actually be on the channel now myself as well for a video too. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Not at all. So look, guys, I will pin NubRaid's channel down below. Go and check him out. Honestly, I would say, especially if you're on normal or hard Hydra, just the best content that I've seen on that topic. Literally, I'm looking at it thinking, great, I can steal some ideas for videos here. So go check him out, drop him a sub, and we will see you later.
Bye.